It's Friday, which means it's time for our Friday Business Report. This week, Apple announced it's launching its very own streaming service. The Padres are back, and San Diego gets another unicorn. Here to help put it all in perspective for us is Miro Kopik with SDSU and Bottom Line Marketing. Miro, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's jump right in. So Apple is entering the world of original programming. Should the people over at Netflix be concerned?
Not really, not today, but they should be looking over their shoulder a year or 2 years from now, because Apple's a major player and they're going to make a $1 billion commitment in new original programming by directors like Steven Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, and Ron Howard. So they're making a big play just like Amazon did. So in the streaming world, this is a really, really crowded space. And Netflix has a big lead, but a lot of players are there trying to get their fair share. Most consumers who are cutting the cord from cable are getting 4, 5, 6 streaming services on top of their internet service. Their business is kind of struggling. Up to now, they've been relying on the iPhone. 62% of their business is the iPhone. With growth slowing in China and phones being over $1,000 a piece, people are slowing down their purchase of iPhones. Secondly, 23% of their business is computers, which is the core Apple business. The rest of it is services. And this is where they make high margins. And so not only do they launch the streaming service, but they also launched a news subscription service for $9.99 a month that gives you access to 300 newspapers and magazines. They launched an Apple Arcade service for gamers with over 100 original games, exclusive games on the platform. They were a little sketchy on the details. And then they launched a credit card. And the credit card is important for them because it taps into the whole Apple Pay piece.
And it's an exciting time for San Diego baseball fans, and I particularly like it because it's the signal of spring. It's baseball season, once again, the Padres season opener, which brought out even bigger crowds. Does this translate to more sales for the surrounding businesses?
Potentially, yes. You know, hope springs eternal is the mantra of all baseball fans on opening day. And yesterday, the Padres had their 16th consecutive sellout on opening day, 45,000 fans. The issue is, and where fans are optimistic, is they have a really exciting team. They have a couple of major free agents like Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer, a lot of homegrown talent, and they have the possibility of making the playoffs. So fans are excited. The issue is for the Padres as a organization is that if you go back to when they first came into Petco, they were averaging 35 to 37,000 fans per game. Today, for the last 3 years, about 26,000. So they need to make up that gap to really drive their profitability. So for example, for the average ticket price from last year, if you gain 9,000 fans, which gets us back to that level, that's $16 million in incremental revenue for the Padres. If you even gain 5,000 fans, it's an extra $9 million. And that's not considering merchandising revenues, incremental merchandising revenues, incremental suite revenues, and then advertising and sponsorship revenues.
More good news for San Diego. Unicorns are supposed to be rare, but San Diego has had 3 companies since December reach unicorn status. Does this help the region?
You know, yes, it does, because unicorn status says that it's a privately held startup that's valuation is over $1 billion, and they've been around for less than 10 years. So these are rare indeed. In fact, less than 0.7% of all companies, all startups, reach unicorn status. An example would be Uber. So the most recent one in San Diego is a company called Kyriba. They make financial services software for the treasury function of companies. They are already at $110 million. They employ 120 people in San Diego. They expect to be at 200. They have 2,000 clients worldwide. They operate in 12 countries. So the private equity firm that invested in them, $160 million, is investing in them on 3 levels. Number one, they want to dedicate about $60 million of that in product development. Part of that is to buy out old investors, and a lot of it is to give the company a lot of financial flexibility. And the other 2 unicorns that you mentioned, one was in December called Seismic. They do sales experience software. They just crossed the $1 billion mark in December. And then a company called Too Simple. They make autonomous trucks. So those trucks that are going to be self-driving was funded by almost $100 million in February, and that's our 3rd unicorn.
Well, that wraps up our Friday Business Report. Thank you so much, Miro.
Thanks, Ebony.